right, guys, we're coming back here with part 2 of the Dota Radio Morning Show, episode 18, and we do indeed have our guest, Bruno Carlucci, the stats man, is going to be with us here today. Bruno, my friend, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. As I was telling you before, it just started snowing in Stockholm for the first time this year. Of course, this winter it did snow during February and March. But it was something that everyone was telling me, no, like really, I swear that winter's coming, and I just didn't see it coming. And well, fortunately, we had some snow before Christmas because I've had 27 Christmas without snow just because I lived in the southern hemisphere and we kind of have a really, really hot summer during Christmas. I was really, really looking forward to a snowy Christmas, and it seems I'm going to get it.
Yeah, that's exciting. The first snow in Stockholm is really nice. I was there for a DreamHack, and same thing happened. Halfway through my stay was the first snow, and it was a little bit magical. All the Swedes had these big teary eyes, and it was beautiful. It was beautiful. So, how are you, man? What's going on? You've been doing a lot of stuff. You've been kind of the official stats man, now working with the GD studio. You guys did the Dream League kickoff season. You just finished up at DreamHack. I guess give us a small introduction for the one or two people out there that don't know who you are or why you're important. What's your involvement with Dota, and what do you do?
I always find it really hard to describe what I am. My involvement with Dota means I'm pretty much all over the place, really. I'm a software developer by trade. I started into this community by making some kind of open source tools, things about mostly statistics. I had the first website, which is no longer Dota Academy. I shut it down, but it was the first site that had lots of statistical information. Out of that, it also came the first fantasy league, which was for TI2 before Valve did their own. From there, it was like a really long and weird story, but I ended up hosting, in the analyst desk of TI2, got the chance to actually go to Sweden and work with a good studio. So I started doing some stuff, which was like kind of co-hosting sometimes commentating games, and all this time, at the same time, keep working on the kind of the behind-the-scenes part of Dota, just creating some more new stuff. You probably saw the peek and ban screens that were used during the Dream League and replay parser. I really don't know. I'm a busy man. I like to keep myself busy, and I've been around. That's all I can say.
Yeah, you certainly have. I was reading in your Wikipedia or your Liquipedia article that you got involved in Dota in 6.20, which came out in 2005. So you are kind of a Dota veteran. At least you've been around since the old days. Why did you end up shutting down Dota Academy? Was it just because you had other projects that were more pressing?
The way I see things with everything I do is I like to just try new ideas and see and I totally believe that other people can do whatever I do much better than I do. So when I presented this idea of the statistics, the way I did the project, because I was rushed and I had some other responsibilities as well, made it so that the project was really cool, but it required a lot of my attention. I was like, hopefully someone will come and have even a better product than I have right now. And when that person comes, or when that site comes, I will be more than willing to just step down and just let that person flourish, because I don't know, in a time and age where people sometimes try to monopolize it, let's do everything. Let's have the main statistics side and let's have the main news side or whatever. I was just like, I'm really not into that. I just want the community to grow. Unfortunately, this amazing guy called Martin Decoud made this website called thatdota.com, which was pretty much the continuation. I helped him with some stuff. He also helped me with some stuff as well. And by the time his site was up and running, I was like, well, you're doing an amazing job. There's no point in people just trying to go to two sites, because obviously when you track statistics or anything, there will be some discrepancies. Because sometimes, for one reason, you just forget. And just having two sides only creates confusion. Because it's like, oh, well, but you say this and he says that, and who's right, who's not right? So I said, well, the best thing I can do right now is to step down and just let you go and do your stuff. And he's doing an amazing job. And he also helped me with the peek and ban screen for the Dream League. So I'm really happy that he's doing well, and I encourage everyone to just go to his site because it's amazing.
I will confess, I use Dat Dota almost every day. I can't imagine a morning show without having Dat Dota as a fallback to get some statistics and say. I mean, we used it just earlier to talk about Bristleback and see what his win rate is. So I will second that notion. Dat Dota is a great service and has helped me personally, and I'm sure many other people out there as well. So talk to us about Dream League a little bit. You guys have sort of a different take on this whole production thing. Have really stepped it up a notch. I think a lot of people have really enjoyed the sort of tri-casting you guys have done with James there as kind of the host and the four-person panel with yourself, Draskell, Piri, and Flax, and of course James himself. Talk to us about the Dream League kickoff season. How did it go? Did it go as expected? Better than expected? What were some of the issues you guys had? How was it overall?
To us, it was an amazing product. We had lots of fun, and that's the most important thing. As you can probably know, we don't do as much content as maybe Join Dota or Beyond the Summit or all the other streamers. And honestly, it's because we're really lazy. Like, there's no other explanation. We just don't like working. So we just go for whichever guys are crazy enough to just let us be ourselves and not having to prepare that much. And in that case, DreamHack is fantastic for that, because these are guys we've been working with for such a long time, especially James. Like, he's been around them and he knows everyone. So when they came with this idea that we want to just like turn DreamHack into not only this LAN stuff, but also kind of a tournament that goes online, but not just like any other online tournament, but also focus into this kind of entertainment as a product and not only just games. We were really happy about it because it allows us to pretty much be ourselves. And of course, DreamHack right now, since their partnership with MTG and TV6 in Sweden, they have created a new studio, which, by the way, the studio that you saw during the Dream League, that's not the final studio. That's not even close to the final studio. They're creating something that's much, much better. To put that into perspective, that studio was set up from the get-go, just from nothing to everything in less than a week.
Wow.
And now we're talking that they're going to have a studio in a proper place. Big investment. And I've seen some stuff. Of course, it's not done yet. Otherwise, we would be there.
Right.
But it's going to look really awesome. So props to DreamHack for creating something that's completely new. And I don't know. I know when I talked to them, they said we kind of want to replicate the kind of awesomeness that you see when you see GOM TV, and you see StarCraft 2 on the Korean streams.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that they're going in the right direction there. But going back to the Dream League, it was pretty much a product that they wanted to do it, but they also said, well, you're kind of the experts on what people like, and so what do you want to do? How do you want to do it? So we came with this idea of how we wanted to run it, and James said, you know what, probably, like, since we're not maybe the best at play-by-play or most awesome at play-by-play, but we do have other things going for us, maybe we just change what everything else does, and instead of having a play-by-play, let's just have a conversation. But when you have a conversation with two people, sometimes you have like dead moments, or just like, oh, I say A, you say the opposite of A, and that's it. So if you bring a third person, suddenly you can create something that's much more, much richer. And the other problem was like, well, who can be that third person? Because you have, for example, Andy Draskell, which is amazing at analyzing the games, and when he will give his argument, he's most of the times right. And James and I, whichever of us was going to be in that second position, which ended up being me, I could go with something more like a different aspect, just talk about how the teams were faring. I talk to the players a lot, so I know how they come. So we needed something completely different, someone completely different, and we came with the idea of bringing Imperium Flag, which, as you know, he's not an expert in itself, but he does bring something that's really amazing, which is, first of all, he's British, so his banter is amazing. It's like a racial skill.
Yeah.
If you're British, you can banter. And the other thing is that also he brought this fresh approach to the game. He was surprised by the small things, in things that we kind of assume as obvious, and it was really good for him to be there. So we created this dynamic, and we tried it out, and it went really well. And of course, with James as the anchor there, just the host, nothing can go wrong, and it ended up being an amazing product. And of course, having the best teams didn't hurt.
Yeah. Oh, that's for sure. And you guys definitely did a good job with that dynamic. And I had the same thought where at first I was like, oh man, I have really heard very few tri-casts that have gone well, and you guys pulled it off. That role that Pyrian plays is really useful and I think surprisingly difficult to execute. I don't think I could play that role. He does it in a way that makes it sound interesting and playful, and even though I usually know the answer to the questions he's asking, I sort of like that he's asking them in a way that is interesting and easily approachable, because that is definitely a gap where newcomers, turn on Beyond the Summit and they just don't know what we're talking about, where it's that higher level analysis, you use all the slang and the lingo, and I think this helps make it approachable to people that are less familiar with Dota. So definitely doing well. You guys have a really unique kind of niche going on, and I'm not surprised to hear that it went well, and I'm glad to hear it went well by your standards as well. How was DreamHack itself? This is the first DreamHack winner that there was a Dota 2 tournament. Is that correct?
No, it's not correct. Actually, there were other Dota 2 tournaments at winter. It was the first time maybe that Dota 2 had a big stage.
Okay. Or has there never been one at summer? I thought there was one of them that Dota has yet to be at, or am I just totally off my rocker?
DreamHack has several stops. Summer and winter have always been with Dota 2 since pretty much Dota 2 came out.
Okay.
The ones that didn't have Dota 2 were the other stops that are what was called the DreamHack Open stops, which are mostly only for StarCraft.
Okay.
Stockholm, Bucharest, Valencia, which had the D12 finals last time, and I'm missing one. But yeah, there's one that's going to come next year.
All right, my bad. That was.
But no, it's fine. It's fine. The thing is that DreamHack has the difference between previous years is that the previous year DreamHack used to have like this big kind of tournament with 16 teams, a couple coming from what they call the BYOC, Bring Your Own Computer tournament, free tournament. You can play without being a pro and just get to play with the pros. This one was the first time it was kind of like a short tournament with only 4 teams, 4 of the 6 that went into Dream League, and it was kind of like the Star Ladder format, and it also worked very well.
Yeah. Awesome. So how was it casting with Toby? He was added in for DreamHack, and there was an extra person. It's hard enough to manage 4. Did you guys struggle having a 5th person on the panel?
We didn't struggle with Toby because he's amazing at what he does. So immediately by putting him there, even though the dynamic changed, because suddenly the reason I think maybe we could do the tri-cast in this kind of jokey way is because we live with each other, most of us. The only one that doesn't live with us is Pyrian, but we play a lot with him and we know him very well. Now, by bringing Toby, we kind of lost a little bit of that, but we gained an amazingly amount of hype and things like when he gets excited about a team fight, you can see the reaction of the people in the LAN, and that was like really amazing. Having said that, it was a little bit more troublesome to just fit 5 people as opposed to 4, because suddenly you're kind of like juggling to make it like a proper product and not just like 5 people that tune in when they have something to say. But we started fixing that during the days, and like you can see, for example, by the last day I was transitioning more into a kind of like interviewer kind of figure as opposed to like a fixed member of the panel. And then everyone else just like, because of casting with each other, they gain confidence. And James, he just gets better and better as each day goes by. So it went out pretty well.
Yeah. So Chris, I know you had some specific questions you wanted to ask about Dota 1 heroes. If you want to take the floor, my friend.
I did. It's a little bit of a paradigm shift here, but Bruno, I've asked you questions like this before, and previously when I asked you about Dota 1 heroes, you pointed out Pitlord as being someone who's going to be very, very impactful, and I don't disagree with you there. I think his ultimate is amazing. I think Atrophy Aura is insane. But if we remove him from the equation, I want to know who you think will make a splash that is not yet in Dota 2.
Well, it's kind of hard to say because the easiest answer would be techies. And the reason is because maybe not as much in pro games, although techies is totally legit as a mid. I will tell you, in pro games, and it's not just like a crazy Pinoy thing that they did a year ago. It actually really works. If you think of him as a mid, just by level 2, he can have both stasis mines, which are the stun mines, and the remote mines. The landmines, which are the ones that explode when you stun on them. Meaning that if you're a techies, you're pretty much ungankable. You just set a couple of mines, on each side of your tower, and if someone wants to just turn around and gank you, they won't be able to, meaning that techies will have completely safe and protected farm, and because landmines did so much damage, he will be able to get, once he gets maybe a soul ring, all of the creeps in the creep wave, and now he has something like 6 or 7 armor as well. So even though he's kind of paper in HP, he's not a hero that responds badly towards harassment. So if you get a puck, if you get a Queen of Pain, just right-clicking him, that will not do so much damage. And in late game, when you have a skill, in particular your ultimate, that does as much damage as a level 3 Sonic Wave on a 10-second cooldown, and on, I think, 700 range, if you have an Acceptor, it's so powerful that it can turn games around. But other than that, if I wasn't to go with techies, I will go with another hero that will probably be nerfed before it comes to the CM, which will be Oracle. It's the second hero that came out in the 678 patch in Dota 1. He's ridiculously strong. He's this guy that played as a support, can make your whole team completely immortal. He can dispel buffs, he slows enemies, makes you immune to magic. He does so much that it's going to... I can't see that hero not being played in every single game.
Okay, that's not fair. Oracle is a stupid hero.
It is a stupid hero.
False
That's a stupid hero.
promise.
It's like that's too easy.
It's too easy.
It's super strong.
You guys are making me want to play Dota 1. I've never played Oracle.
It's a good game.
It's
I will download Warcraft 3 and play Dota 1 with you if you want. I haven't had it
and
for a
teach me
while.
the ways of playing Oracle and Frost.
Oh, I was horrendously terrible at Dota 1. I started playing Dota 1 in like 5.84 is the earliest version I remember, but I was never any good at it. It was only in Dota 2 that I started taking the game seriously, and I'm still not good, but I'm way better than I was.
Yeah.
Only barely at the bottom of very high, which is not particularly good.
So, all right, we'll shift focus here again. Bruno, I gotta ask about the fashion, man. Where can one that is trying to aspire to improve their fashion, improve said fashion? Where do you get your wardrobe from? Where does that come from? What was the mindset behind what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to use the word flamboyant, but eccentric.
Colorfulness.
Colorful, yes, colorful wardrobe. Talk to us about that a little bit.
Well, as to where you can find that stuff, there's no one single place. My way to do it is I just go to like places that sound like they might have clothes for theater and stuff like that, and maybe I go and like, hey, I'm looking for something like a stage suit, something in color. And sometimes they have, we have these really dark brown suits. I'm like, well, dark brown is not really a color. I mean, it is, but it isn't. I'm looking something more like red or yellow. Most of the times they just look at me awkwardly and say, no, there's no such thing. But every once in a while you find these places that they have, oh yeah, we have this very, very old suit here that no one really wants to buy, and it's 3 sizes bigger than your size. But I'm like, I'm going to take it anyways, because sometimes the chance of getting something like that outweighs the fact that you might not fit properly. Fortunately for me, recently I found a place that delivers on the internet, which is where I got the heart suit and the orange suit, which they do have my size, and that makes me really happy as well, because it kind of started becoming silly for a little bit when I was wearing oversized jackets. The thing is, and the second answer to the question, the second part of that question is, where did that come from? And I always wondered that myself. I was always like, since I started buying my own clothes as opposed to my parents when I was a kid, I always really liked colors, and when I was a teenager I was horrible at combining them. Like, I would wear literally stuff that didn't match at all, but I would be happy because I was wearing colors. When I was at university, when I was 18, I decided I wanted to learn magic. And I studied magic for 4 years, actually.
Magic like magician, not Magic the Gathering, right?
No, not Magic the Gathering.
Okay.
Magic like magicians, like tricks with cards and coins and stage and everything.
Okay.
Yeah. So I did that studied for 4 years. Of course, not like fully dedicated because I had university, but it was kind of like my hobby during all that time. And the world of stage magic is also a world full of colors. So by that time, I think I bought my first yellow suit, which is a yellow suit that I have, and I bring to pretty much every. It's the only suit that I bring to pretty much every single land. I think this DreamHack was the first time I didn't use it because it has a lot of sentimental value. It's a suit that I have with me for like, I don't know, 7, 8 years, and it's really, really old and worn out. But I really like that suit. And from there, I was like, when I started wearing that suit, and one of my best friends, he didn't have anything to do with magic, but he watched this movie Fight Club. And if you remember Fight Club, Brad Pitt was wearing a red leather jacket throughout most of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So he was like really obsessed as well. So we would go out, and I would be like the guy in the yellow jacket, and he would be the guy in the red leather jacket. And we quickly found out that was like attracted people's attentions. And the thing that you have to learn, and the reason why some people say I couldn't pull off a jacket like that or colors like that, is because the jackets or whatever you wear, it just brings attention to you, which means that your personality has to make up for the rest. To be honest, when I started doing that, I was much, much different than I am now. So I was just put in the spot, and people would be like, "Oh, who's this interesting guy in the yellow suit?" And then I would turn out to be a very boring person. People would be like very disappointed, and it has the complete opposite effect. But at the same time, by putting me in that position of where I was out of my personal comfort zone, it made me better. I mean, it forced me to just be better, interact with people, be more friendly, be more happy. And I think that's the message that I'm not sure I'm trying to send a message with my suit. But what I say to everyone is like, if you're going to, the reason I wear colors is because it allows you to like portray some aspects of your personality a little bit clearer. And if you want to do it, just like go ahead and do it. There's nothing weird about that. After the DreamHack Winter, the last day I was with a hearts jacket and pants. And after that, we went to the after party, which was, of course, like a nerd after party with lots of people from our game. But it wasn't the kind of like part of town where it was full of clouds and everything. So when I went out and we just mixed with everyone else that was going out from every other bar, people were very receptive positively about that. Like women would come and say, like, you know what, I really admire your fashion sense. I really admire the way that you wear that, and you're not afraid of doing that. And men that you would normally say, like the guy is like, that's gay or something. They'll be like, no, dude, like, where'd you get that? Like, that's amazing. So sometimes it looks weird, but if you try, you will find out that most people would like to do something like that, and I don't know why most people don't.
All right. I can empathize with that a surprising amount. My wardrobe isn't quite as flashy as yours, but my hairpiece is in a sort of a similar sort of avenue as to what you're talking about. As you mentioned, sort of expressing yourself a little bit differently and getting some of that attention. It's not all bad, especially when you're in the limelight. That is really cool. That was that was a surprisingly deep answer there, Bruno. I don't have a good retort. That really that was nice. Thank you for that.
I do.
All right, Charlie, what do you got? Sweaters?
I'd sleep with you, Bruno.
I love you too, Charlie.
So, all right, we are getting close to the end of the show here, Bruno. One of the last things I wanted to ask you about kind of quickly here, this is a really open-ended question, maybe not a good one to end on. What do you think is going to be the biggest problem facing competitive Dota 2 coming up in the next couple months, next couple years? Right now, things are going pretty well. We're booming. Is this a bubble? Are we going to burst? What do we need to be wary of in the future?
Well, we are in the stage where Dota 2 is kind of reaching the peak maturity. If you look at every esport in the world, the kind of shelf life is around 5 years, 6 years. There are some exceptions like Brood War, but those exceptions are normally limited to specific areas. If you look at it now, like Brood War is still a thing in Korea, but outside Korea, no one plays it at all. And what we have to understand is that while Dota 2 is soaring and going up, as an esport, it's kind of getting to that point where it's like, well, we're just like, we're a grown product. We can't bullshit ourselves and say, well, it's a beta and people will keep coming. People will keep coming, of course. And I think that custom maps will be kind of a big thing that will attract a new audience. But since we are in this mature like stage right now, what we have to work on is to make sure that we have kind of like a transparent barrier of entrance for people that want to just become pros. Because we know these teams like Navi has been forever, and Alliance and Fnatic, these guys, and even like guys that are new, like Speed Game, well, former Speed. How are they called now? Are they still called?
I think they're Speed Gaming still.
Okay, fair enough. So even those guys that are kind of like a new team, they're all old players in a way because they had all been playing in this or that team. So what we need to do is make sure that we have an environment that allows for 5 people that are talented enough, even if they're not well known, to quickly get into the level where they can play against Navi. And if they are good enough to defeat Navi or Speed or Alliance or whoever, they are able to do so, and not just being stuck in amateur tournaments forever just because they don't have a name to go with their talent. And I think that that's the problem that we have to solve right now, because I'm pretty sure there are many, many more talented players out there than teams there are. And it couldn't hurt to have more teams, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely agree with you. That mobility is something that is a little bit of an issue now, and I think will get worse. Got to make sure we don't stay stagnant and have some sort of mechanism for teams to move up to the top if they have the skills to pay the bills. Bruno, I really appreciate you coming on. It's been a pleasure. I know the audience enjoyed it. This will be uploaded pretty much immediately here. Any shout-outs or statements you want to make, the floor is yours. Your Twitter is on the overlay here. At StatsmanBruno, make sure you guys give him a follow. Again, thanks, man.
Shout out to everyone at the Good Studio, everyone I work with. One thing that I make a point of, because of what I do, is that I like to work with everyone else, and I think everyone in the Dota 2 community deserves a shout out. News sites, casters, community players, everyone, they're amazing. We just have to remember that we're all playing this same game together, and we shouldn't be just like fighting each other. The bigger the game gets, the better it is for everyone. So just big shout out to everyone, really.
That was Bruno. You're very quickly here becoming everyone's hero. There was so much love and positivity in that entire interview. Thank you so much for coming on. We really do appreciate it. We got to get out of here, though, guys. I got Star Ladder to cast. Thank you for joining us here on the Dota Radio Morning Show. We'll be back Monday, 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, remember to visit the portal, dotaradio.com/morning show, for everything you need to know about the show and the archive of the previous episodes, where this one will be posted in podcast format. Till next time, guys, take care.